Those two who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders. I am one, I found the other.
Yeah!
And just to give you an example of how AA works, Paige came in from Ontario, and a bunch of people, as you noticed, came to support her, and I was the chairperson at the time she was coming, and I asked her to speak today. And they went to Dr. Bob's house, and she really wanted to do something. It'll be a part of her story, so I won't take away the energy.
I'll take requests, yeah.
But she asked me, she couldn't get into the Hyatt Regency conference down there where Bill and Bob first met with Henrietta. And she said, do you have any connections? I said, Paige, the only people I haven't offended in AA are the ones I haven't met yet. I've got no connections. And this guy walks up, and I took an instant disliking to him. But because my judgment is always wrong, I didn't say a word. And he was the tour guide, and she was able to do that which she so desired to do. I'll let her tell you the rest of the story. Out of respect for the speaker, we're going to allow her to sit up here and use the microphone over here.
Ooh.
And we're going to rock and roll.
All right.
The speaker in Cleveland does the Serenity Prayer if you so choose.
Okay.
Okay.
Like right when I'm done or at the very end of the meeting?
At the very beginning and then the Lord's Prayer at the end.
I see the Serenity Prayer at the beginning?
Ask them to join you.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. I'm Paige. I'm an alcoholic. Clearly, I'm new here. I guess I kick us off, and he said I asked you to join me, and I clearly need the help. So if we could do the Serenity Prayer together. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Awesome. All right. I'm Paige. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Paige.
And listen, I got it under good authority that Cleveland rocks. Woo! So honestly, so grateful to be here with you guys today. And yeah, it was, it's been a whirlwind trip, and we're in Akron, and, we visited Intergroup, and that took a little too long. The archivist was like, I got all this information, and we're like, we don't got all that time, And so we weren't going to be able to see the gatehouse. That's Henrietta Seiberling's, she has a house, and she's got this little house, and it's where this very first starts of Alcoholics Anonymous, where one alcoholic spoke with another alcoholic, sharing experience, strength, and hope. And man, I love my Henrietta Seiberling, and I wanted to see that house, and it didn't look like it was going to happen. But you see, God shows up, and God shows up for a drunk like me with another drunk asking for help. And to be fair, Bill doesn't ask. He just says, you are helping? And I'm good for that. And Bill's like, we're going to a meeting. I'm like, which one? Shouldn't ask. We just go. We go to this meeting, and clearly I'm joking with him. I'm like, got any connections? And as you guys know, he's like, nope, I burned those bridges. And we go to the meeting, and there's a gentleman there who's a tour guide, and he's like, yeah, you can come on down and come see the gatehouse. And we got to do that before coming over. And I don't know about you guys. For me, that was an incredible experience, and it's a privilege to be a small link in the chain that is Alcoholics Anonymous. One hopeless alcoholic talking to another hopeless alcoholic. And that conversation that happened in that gatehouse, so many decades ago, is what allowed us all here to be alive and sober today. And that is nothing less than a miracle. And man, here in Alcoholics Anonymous, we come to expect miracles. And the Ford to the second edition, it talks about a wholesale miracle. Now, I know you guys got Costco. Imagine you go to Costco and you get your Costco-sized box of miracles. That's what we are in Alcoholics Anonymous. Nothing less than a miracle. And what's more miraculous than that is my miracle gets the opportunity to help others. There's nothing more incredible than sitting down with another alcoholic over Zoom or eyeball to eyeball and sharing what was so freely given to me. So I truly mean this. I want to thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be of service. Thank you for an opportunity to be here. I want you to know this is a life beyond my wildest dreams that I did not earn and I did not deserve. And actually, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I believe alcoholics, I'm starting it off on a tangent. Some of you guys know, oh boy, we're not even getting to the meat and potatoes. I'm off talking about spaghetti. But what I want you to know is I believe that Alcoholics Anonymous is a gift. And do we have any big book nerds in the house? Ooh, my big book nerds, I love you guys. You're my people. So some of my big book nerds will be like, excuse me, Paige. It cannot be a gift. because a price had to be paid, It meant destruction of self-centeredness. And what I come to find out is the price that I pay to receive the gift is the gift all along. And what I mean is this idea that, man, I do not deserve to be sober. I did not earn sobriety any more or any less than anyone that is here in this room today, or any more or any less than anyone that is out there dying of this illness that is alcoholism. I didn't deserve it, I didn't earn it, but I did have to take some actions. And as a result, I received that gift. Man, it's a little early and we're in the middle of July, but I often have this metaphor, because I love me my metaphors. And some people know, some of the ones that know me, they're like, oh God, it's the Christmas tree one. Ugh. But we're going to talk about Christmas in July, because actually Eileen, she knows every day sober and Alcoholics Anonymous is Christmas. She's got a whole Christmas tree and everything. And it's a little like Christmas morning. I don't know about you, if you remember Christmas morning when you were a kid, and you're up way too early, but what's the first thing you got to do? You got to awaken. And down those steps, there's this Christmas tree. And that Christmas tree, man, its lights are aglow. It's too dark. It's too dark, but late December, it's dark, but the lights are aglow. It's got the tinsel, it's got the bows, it's got the bells, it's got the balls. And under that Christmas tree is a gift. And that gift is perfectly and immaculately wrapped. Imagine that gift. The ribbon is perfect. It's not like how I wrap presents. You know what I mean? It's like, stick it together and hope for the best. It is perfectly wrapped. And it's got a name tag. And what it's got is your name. Your name on that gift. And so what do I got to do? It's already there. I didn't earn it. I didn't deserve it. I didn't work. I will have to take some actions to get there. But I didn't become worthy of it. So what I got to do is I got to awaken. And how do I awaken? I get up and I go down those steps. Down those steps. Not up those steps, down those steps. See, what I've come to find out is the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous are not climbing this ladder of success. For me, these 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous are about this receiving the unconditional love that is God. It is about pouring more and more of myself to the unconditional love of a power I did not like, I did not believe in, and I did not think could possibly help a drunk like me. I go down those steps, and as a result of that, I receive the gift. And that's what Alcoholics Anonymous is about for me. But, when I got here, I did not soar into Alcoholics Anonymous on the wings of success. When I got here, I didn't want to be here. When I got here, I was kind of hoping I showed up to AA after a series of oopsie-doopsies and whoopsie-daisies. You know what I mean? Like it was a series of unfortunate accidents and that allowed me to hang out in these community halls and club rooms and church basements with you wonderful people. And I would do this thing. Now, I know it's this thing that you wonderful people in Cleveland would never do, but it's a thing that I did. It's called judging the speaker. You guys would never, right? And so I would though, and I would hear some drunk like me natter on, and I'd think, whoa, I'm way worse than that gal. I don't fit in here. And the very next person that would share, I think, whoa, not as bad as that guy, And I would look for all the ways I wasn't like you. I would look for all the ways I didn't fit in. You see in our book, Alcoholics Anonymous, page 44, we got two statements that I could turn into questions. See, I showed up with a whole lot of andas. You know what I mean? I'm an alcoholic anda. And I got buckets of yeah buts, I'm an alcoholic, yeah, but I'm not as bad as him. And yeah, but if my ex would get his stuff together, I wouldn't have to drink at him. I'm sure nobody here ever drank at an ex. I know that's just me. I had all of this denial and all of the ways that I wasn't like you. I'm young, I'm this, I'm that, you know what I mean? As the two statements on page 44 that I can turn to questions and ask myself. And it was as simple as it needed to be for a drunk like me. And it pegged me between the eyes. And you see, I could not deny who I was or what was wrong with me. Right between the eyes. If, when you honestly want to, you find you cannot quit entirely. Or, and I want you all to know I'm an and sort of alcoholic. I'm not an or gal. I'm an and. But it says or. Or if when drinking you have little control over the amount you take, you are probably alcoholic. And that's me. See what happens, and I don't know if this is you, but this is me. This is what happens to me. See, I take a drink of alcohol. And there's two things. that happen to me that do not happen to non-alcoholics. The first thing that happens is this. I take a drink and I experience, you guys know? In my shoulders, I was wearing them as earrings, they start to fall. You know what I mean? It is relief. It is release. It is ease. It is comfort. See, I take a drink and I get a solution for life. Y'all know what normal people do? They just have a drink or two and watch the Browns play. You know what I mean? They just go on with their life. I take a drink and I get a solution for life. Now, I will say that doesn't inherently make me alcoholic, but it's helpful to know that is not how most people respond to their first drink or that 3-drink glow. You know what you know that 3-drink glow? If you tell normal people you know the 3-drink glow, they're like, no. What are you on about? You know? And you see, if that was the only thing that was abnormal about me, as much as I'm truly privileged to be here with you guys in Cleveland, I wouldn't. I'd be out there doing that, because that worked. But you see, the thing is, I take that drink, and I get that glow, if only for a moment. And it's like a little switch that goes off in the back of my head, and it tells me more. And the more that I drink, the louder that more gets. See, I don't know about you, but I start drinking and I get thirstier. See, I take a drink and it demands a second, and my second insists on 4, and that 4th drink will not relent until I've had 8, and the 8th drink is screaming at me until I've had 16, and so on and so forth. Y'all know that does not happen to me with any other beverage. I love telling this story because my stomach, it stopped handling coffee. It's like 2 years ago, and I'm telling you that because I want you to feel bad for me. I'm like, oh, Paige, she can't have coffee. Thank you. Just here for the validation. But you see, and so I start my day every day. I start my day with prayer. I start my day with meditation, and then I have a cup of Earl Grey tea. But not once in my life have I ever, you guys can let me know if this is your experience, but not mine. Not once in my life have I ever gone on a 3-day Earl Grey tea bender. Never have I had a cup of tea and slammed it back with another and another and another. Not once have I drank all of the tea in the house, found some chamomile in the pantry, ripped it open and snorted it because it's got to be the same. You know, I just have a cup of tea, you know? And you see, what happens is I can't control the amount that I take every single time I start to drink. And I don't know about you, but what happens to an alcoholic like me is I start to cross these lines in the sand. You know, my inability to control the amount that I drink, once I start crossing lines that I said I would never cross. I break hearts I never wanted to break. I ruin relationships that I cared about more than anything in the world. I betray trust I never wanted to betray. I do things I never wanted to do. I don't know about you, but I got to that place where my life was absolutely unrecognizable to somebody like me. I hated who I was. I hated how I was living my life. Man, I couldn't look myself in the mirror. I hated me. And I thought, you know, maybe alcohol might have something to do with it. A little bit of self-awareness, not buckets of that. Buckets of denial, but not buckets of, like, awareness. Some of you guys are, is she wearing an Iron Man hoodie? Yeah, I don't have buckets of awareness. It's fine. Sit here. I need a light sweater, and it works. All right. And I don't regulate temperature, and I clearly don't regulate attention. We're going to go all over. But what happened for me is I would come to the morning after, and I would be filled with guilt and shame and remorse. I hated myself. I hated what I had done. I hated who I had become. And I would say, that's it. I'm never going to drink again. And I meant it. I meant it with everything that was in me. I meant it. I did not want to do it again. But you see, my real problem as an alcoholic, and this was mind-blowing for somebody like me, my desire to stay sober has no effect. My need to stay sober has no effect. My want to stay sober has no effect. My fear of relapse has no effect. See, I could not stay sober. See, here's my experience. A day, a week, a month. I mean, sometimes the same day, but a day, a week, a month, several months down the line, I would get a thought, and that thought would happen in my mind, and that thought would happen when I am as sober as I am today, but my illness is untreated. And I would get a thought, and this thought would look a little something like, this time will be different. A little something like, nobody will ever know. A little something like, you know what, I'm just going to go for 3 drinks. we're a little more honest. I'm just going to go out for 3 days, just get a long weekend in, it'll be fun. I'll pull it together on Tuesday, right? I look a little something like, my problem was drinking with Canadians, We're in Cleveland. There's no alcoholics here. I can drink like a lady. If you're wondering, have I ever done anything in my life like a lady? No. Bill knows. Ladylike doesn't happen in this area. I want you to know that sometimes that mental obsession, the obsession of the mind, what it would look like is, man, if you're feeling the way that I'm feeling, you'd have to get drunk too. If you're living the way that I was living, man, you'd have to get drunk too. It looks like I'm going to kill myself, so why don't I get drunk? And this is not diagnostic of alcoholism, but it was helpful to know. See, I thought you guys came into the rooms of AA and were just happy to be here. Happy to be here, happy to be sober, I'll take 24. And I don't know about you, but I was happy to be here. I'll take 24 and pass it on. Oh, so great. See, I don't know about you. Now, this is not diagnostic of alcoholism, but it was helpful to know. See, when I got sober, I started to feel worse. See, I don't know about you, but you take away the alcohol from me. What is left is an emptiness and a loneliness and a hole in the depth of my soul that nothing can fill. See, I don't know about you, but you take away the drink and, man, I come to the morning after and I have that firm resolution, but then the world starts to get gray and I start to feel a lot of pain. I start to feel that depression, that loneliness. I can't get out of bed. I start to feel that anxiety. That anxiety where it feels like somebody's stabbing your shoulder blades. I start to feel hopeless and suicidal, and I come to the end of myself, and I get a thought. And that thought, now I'll tell you, this is my experience. I get two thoughts, and it'll be one of two. Either I got to end my life, or I got to take a drink. And that's where I come to, and that is my experience as an alcoholic. You see, I can't drink, because once I take a drink, I can't control the amount that I take, but I can't stay sober. Because anything and everything, and I did not try everything there is to try, but everything that I tried to put between me and that first drink, it failed. It failed. I couldn't stay sober. But I can't drink, but I can't stay sober, but I can't drink, but I can't stay sober. And I'm burning it to the ground again and again and again. And I don't know about you, but I came to the end of myself. I came to the end of myself, my good ideas, my plans, my designs, the things that I could put between me and the first drink. And I had a step one experience, and I want to share with you what my step one experience was. My step one experience. Now, my step one experience, it happened before I even knew what it was. But my step one experience was that deep concession within myself that I would drink again. That was my step one experience. I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that there was nothing in me, of me, that I could do to put between me and the first drink to stop me from getting to that place it was. And we were out in Illinois, and some of my friends were saying, Paige, you never talk about some of the locations and some of the situations. The worst place that I ever got to, it's probably not the worst, but I've been in some places. I was homeless, living outside a bottle depot in downtown Calgary. And I've been there in the winter. And we would put shopping carts around us. So that people wouldn't kick our heads in while we sleep, because they were not social. I'm not saying I wasn't a delight, but you know what I mean? And this was a couple years later, because I don't know about you, I was always trying to turn it around. I was always, no, I'm going to turn this around, but all the effort that I had to turn it around did not work. And my step one experience occurred when I was in university. It was it wasn't a drink, it was a use of drugs, but it was my last anything. And it was that deep concession that there was nothing in and of me that I could do that would ever stop me from getting back to the up-down bottle depot in downtown Calgary. I saw myself for who I was. And that was my step one experience. Now, step one, I'm not meant to be like, wee, step one, it's great. Step one is meant to be that concession of hopelessness. But that step one experience leads me into the second step. Now, I'm sure I'm the only one that showed up to AA and was like, oh, I got some issues there. I'm sure you guys sailed over that no problem. But you see, I came to the second step, and I'm going to make it as simple as it needs to be. Actually, I at least she got some handouts. Oh, I got stickers for y'all after. Remind me, because I'll forget, because the attention goes all over. I'll mail you guys stickers online if you want to. I got you. Just want to be helpful. But in that second step, all I need to believe was could there be a power that is greater than my alcoholism? Is it possible that a spiritual awakening exists? Is it possible the thing that I saw in the lives of those around me, that light on in their eyes, that hope in their spirit, that joy, and I judged that. I'm like, ugh, gross, full of joy. Ugh, they think they're better. No, I just hated myself. But is it possible that maybe, just maybe, I'm not so special, that the miracle that had happened in their life could not happen to mine? That's all I needed to believe. That was the second step. I didn't need to know God. I didn't need to understand God. I didn't need to believe in God. I just need to believe that a power greater than myself could possibly remove from me that insane thought that I had that took me time and time again to that first strength. That's all I needed to believe. Could there be a power greater than me? That's it. Now, I'm sure some of y'all overcomplicated it, because I did a whole bunch. I thought I had to know it. I thought I had to define it. I thought I had to walk hand in hand on the beach with God. You've caught a couple issues with that. One of them that you might not have caught is I live in Alberta. It is a landlocked province. We don't have beaches. I don't know how I was going to do that. And I know you guys got the other one. But here's the thing. The first step, and I often do this metaphor, the first step is like me realizing that if I stay in Canada, I'm going to drink again. A geographic is not a solution. This is only a metaphor. But the first step is if I stay where I'm at, I will drink again. The second step is only about believing that Cleveland exists. That's it. I don't need to know Cleveland. I don't need to know anything about who Bernie Kosar, although I know a little bit. Sports. I'm from Canada. All I need to believe is that Cleveland exists. Now, could you imagine if Bill calls me up and is like, Paige, I need you to speak in Cleveland. And I was like, oh, no. I know Cleveland works for you, but I don't believe in it. You know what I mean? All I need to do is not gaslight Bill about Cleveland, because he's been here. He lives here. He has this experience. All I need to do. Now, in the third step, what I need to do is I need to make a decision to get there. That's simply what that is. A decision to take the actions that get me from that place of hopelessness that I know in step one to the place of hope that I'm just believing exists in step two. That is all that is asked of me. Make that decision. Now, if I made that decision but didn't follow it up with any action, I'm not in Ohio. I'm not in Buckeye State. You know what I mean? You know where I am? I'm in Calgary. And what happens if I stay in Calgary? I'm going to drink again. You see, it is the actions of the 12 steps that get me from the place of hopelessness to that place of hope, to the spiritual awakening that is promised. It is promised in step 12. If I do this work to the best of my ability, I will have this experience. It is promised. It's promised that Cleveland exists, which is a good thing, because we're here. And it'd be quite an existential crisis if we weren't. Where are we? And that's all I needed to believe. Now, I'm not going to go too long on the second step, but there's one of the things barriers that I had to belief in God that might be helpful to share with you guys. And for me, it was the question of why. If there is a God, if there is a power greater than myself, why? Why do I have alcoholism? If there is a power greater than myself, why did I have to go through some of the things that I went through as a child? Why did I have to go through some of the things I went through when I was living on the streets or living in that drug house? Why did I have to go through some of the things that I went through in sobriety? Some of the most painful experiences of my life have happened in sobriety. Man, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I might be talking about this. It happens sometimes. Some of the most painful experiences of my life have happened in sobriety. If there is a God, why? Why? And the why is not really a second step idea, but man, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you what my experience is. You see, the truth is I cannot answer your why. But the truth of the matter is I can answer the why that I have found. And the second step, it's a little like, man, the metaphor of why, it's a little like I'm lost in the desert. I'm lost. Ooh, I'm lost in the dunes in Michigan. The dunes, they got sand. I don't know. I'm jazzed about sand. I'm like, we don't have a lot of it. And some of you guys are like, really? Yeah, I know. Who invited her? Bill. This is a Bill issue, and we can inventory him after. It's that idea. Imagine that I'm lost in the desert. And imagine I've been going around in circles. And I run out of water, I run out of the delightful donuts that you guys have. Like I run out of food, I run out of water. Now, some of you guys see my complexion. I am not doing well in direct sunlight. I am burning up. And you know, the thing about the desert is as hot as it is during the day, is as cold as it is during the night. And I'm lost in that desert. And that night begins to fall. I don't know about you, that feeling that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt I'm not going to make it through that long night. Now, in that moment, I'm given a map. A map. My friend Terry, he talks about this is the map. This isn't the treasure. But I'm given a map. Now, in that moment, it is far more important that I use that map to get my butt out of the desert than figure out how I got there in the first place. And it would be a bit of a conundrum because these bad boys are not doing well on sand. Like, I'm not getting far, you know? And that's my experience. Now, part of it is I follow this map to get my butt out of the desert. And I got some urgency. That dark night is settling in. I got to get my butt out of the desert. But once I get myself out of the desert, what is my responsibility? I'm not talking about anyone else's responsibility. My responsibility is to go back and help others find their way out of the desert. And that is where I got the answer to my why. See, what would happen is I would follow the directions in the map. And I would write down that stuff that happened on my fourth step. Some of it I would begin to see in a new way. A lot of it I would begin to see in a new way. I would share that stuff in a fifth step. And I would begin to see that I wasn't alone. And then I would go and I'd take that quiet hour and experience that 6 and 7, and some of the guilt and the shame and the stuff would fall. Not all of it, but some of it would fall. And I went out and I made amends. And that guilt and shame really began to fall. But the real answer to my why I'm an alcoholic, it has nothing to do with the vitamin D deficiency because I'm up in Canada. It has nothing to do for me. This is my why. It doesn't have to be yours. But my why has nothing to do with my family of origin, nothing to do with my genetics. The reason I am an alcoholic, the reason those things have happened to me is because I get to sit down with another alcoholic and say, yes, me too. Yes, me too, I drank that way. Yes, me too, I felt like that. Yes, me too, I couldn't stay sober. Yes, me too, that happened to me. Yes, me too. The depth of my shame, my darkest secrets become gifts and assets that I get to use to help another human being. And the only place I ever found that possible was Alcoholics Anonymous. Page 124, our dark past becomes our principal asset. The worst things I have ever done, I get to share with you and be a small part of the miracle that happens on wholesale. The miracle that happens in your life. And man, I didn't earn that. I didn't deserve that, but I took some actions that I did not think will work. I did not think would happen to me. And I could not have earned and deserved. And if you're sitting here, and I wasn't going to tell this one either. If you're sitting here today, and you're like, Paige, I don't know if I can have faith in AA. I don't know if I can have faith in these steps. I don't know if I can have faith in the God that you're talking about. I think we can. And here's how. Now, this is not a first step proposition. So, singleness of purpose is not a first step proposition. It's a second step proposition. Talking about faith. Anyone here ever taken a floor pill? If you don't know what a floor pill is, that is a pill that you found on the floor? Yeah. So you're like, yeah. Here's what I want you to know. If you took a floor pill, you got faith. It is not the quantity of faith that is lacking. It is the direction. Now, anyone here ever taken a car floor pill? If you're not sure what that is, it is a pill that you found on the floor of a car. Yeah. You can make that amends, don't you worry. You can do it. You got faith. We have faith. It's just the direction. See, I don't know about you. There wasn't a problem in my life that I did not take to the power that was alcohol. I surrendered on my knees to that power which is alcohol. Any problem that I had in my life, I took to that power again and again and again. And I had no shadow of a doubt that it would not relieve the pain that I was feeling. See, it is not the quantity of faith, it's the direction. And that's what we're here to do, to redirect that faith. And it says faith without works was dead, right? I need to make that third step decision. Again, very simply, it is a decision to work these 12 steps as a way of life, like my life depends on it, because it does. That's it. That's what step 3 is all about. And if I make that decision, I got to get to work. And some of you guys know, I got this metaphor. The hoarder's house, we're doing it. So I got this metaphor. And I don't know about you. I just so you know, all of my metaphors are consensual. You don't have to. But what I come to believe is at the depth of my soul, there's a spiritual house. And I don't know about you, but what I believe is that if you're consenting to this metaphor, what I want you to know is that the depth of your soul is a spiritual house. And what I want you to know is that house is good. That house is beautiful. That house has been created by the most incredible, capital D, capital A, divine architect. Oh, you should see the property value on your spiritual house. You know what I'm saying? Oh, now we're going back to my house, not your house. My house, my house. Problem with me is I'm a bit of a hoarder. You know what I mean? Colon TLC, colon the cameras. It is bad. Like the spiritual HOA is having a field day with me. It is bad. I got this house and it's full of stuff. And I'm sure I'm the only one, but I got this stuff and it's resentments. I know I'm the only one. No one can relate. But I got this stuff and it's called resentments. And my resentments are like newspapers that are decades old. And they're piled all the way from floor to ceiling. And then I got these things. Well, and actually, when they're piled all the way from floor to ceiling, what happens is it blocks out the windows and it blocks out the light, and that light can't come in. And I'm sitting in darkness. And as I sit in darkness, I got these things, and they're called fears. I know I'm the only one, but these fears are like empty bottles and cans that are strewn all over the floor. You see, I'm in darkness. I can't step and I can't stand without them shaking and clanging and clattering and sounding bigger and louder than they really are. And I got some sex conduct. It's a little like the dead cats behind the freezer. You know they're there. You can smell them. And I want you to know that no cats have actually been harmed in the making of this metaphor. It is only a metaphor. All cats are fine. It's a metaphor. And so what do I got to do is I got to start cleaning this house. And so I go and I take those newspapers down one by one. And as I take them down one by one, I have a look at them. And once you know, the information was wrong the whole time. See, I thought it said extra, extra. You're all a jerk. Turns out I was the jerk. And that's where the freedom lies. And as I would take those newspapers down one by one by one, what would happen is the light would begin to come into that house. And in our book, we've got a number of metaphors for God. And the reason is how do you describe something that is ineffable? To be ineffable is to be experienced, to be understood. How do I describe the scent of a rose? I got to use metaphors. I got to use, it is like, you know, and that's what Alcoholics Anonymous is. Alcoholics Anonymous is experiential. It is not intellectual. I cannot get to Cleveland through my thinking. I can think my way to Cleveland. I'm not getting out of bed. I got to take action. And only when I experience Cleveland am I there. You know what I'm saying? Alcoholics Anonymous is experiential. It's based on the actions that I take, not the thoughts that I have. And thank goodness, not the feelings I have. God, we don't want those to be driving. You know, yikes. Going off a cliff. It's not good. But the reason we got metaphors for God in this book. And one of my favorite metaphors for God is light. Higher power, creator, spirit of the universe is light. And I love that because light is not what I see. Light is the way in which I see. Now bear with me. We get my resentments out. I got newspapers, you know, and we block out all the lights, all the windows in this clubhouse. We're going to be sitting in darkness. Now if we turn on the light switch, everything in this clubhouse changes in an instant. And yet nothing in this clubhouse has changed. That's what Alcoholics Anonymous is. That fourth step, everything begins to change and yet nothing has changed. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're taking the fourth step. Childhood get better? Childhood didn't change. Oh man, the jerk's driving on, I know I-77 because that's how we got here. I don't know any of the other roads. I normally look up the highways and I'm like, let me tell you about the highways. But I was going to get car sick if I did that. So, and Eileen would prefer I not vomit in her truck. Completely reasonable. But you know, that I've got to like experience it. You know what I'm saying? Those jerks on the I whatever, you know, they start driving better. The jerks at work start showing up better. The people at the grocery store start shopping better. You know what I'm saying? Like everything changes. And they haven't changed. Family didn't change, childhood didn't change, traffic didn't change. But I changed, and how I saw them begin to change. And what I mean is light is not what I see, light is the way in which I see. Now, I often encourage my sponsees to do this. You're going somewhere, invite God and watch for God. I love the airport because, man, for me, that is one of the places where I can see. And some of you are like, really? I also like the dentist, so feel free to judge. I got a little quiet time, and I got to lie down. I like it. But the airport is one of those places where I just can see the undeniable presence of God. And so many times I invite God and I ask to see this power, and I see that power clear as day. So if I watch for it, I will find it. But deeper than that, God is not just simply what I see. It is the way in which I see, the lens through which I see the world, and the lens through which I show up to life. Who I am changes from the inside out. So I take down those newspapers, and that light starts to come in. And we got those bottles and cans, and I see how if I rely on that light, I can clean those up. And I don't have to live in that fear. And then I deal with the cats. And I come up with an ideal. So I can be a sane, sound, spiritual pet owner in the future. You know, never have to live that way again. You see, what happens is when I sit down with God and another human being, I get all that stuff out of the house. Now, one of the things I want to say real quick about step 5 is it says admitted. Now, there's 2 ways to look at the word admit. One is a confession. I got to admit that I stole your car, I slept with your husband, and I peed on your carpet. You know, a bit of a confession, right? And if you're wondering, that never happened. It was linoleum. You know? So you got it. So the one is, it's a confession. Now, the other is to admit, is to let in. So let's say we got a ticket to the Browns game, right? What will it say on the ticket? It'll say admit 1, to let in. And so in that 5th step, what I'm doing is not just confessing, but I'm letting in God and another human being. I'm letting in that light, and I take all of that stuff out of the house. You know what 6 and 7 is all about? Becoming willing and then asking for the cosmic garbage men to come and take it away. And if you're not down with the word God, I mean, feel free to use the spiritual 1-800-GOT-JUNK guy. Do you guys have that? Got junk guy? I don't know. Spiritual. Yeah, I'm like, no, you don't. Okay. I didn't look up repo companies or dumpster companies. Although, dumpster company, that's title of some inventory I've written. You guys know. Yeah. You get it. And that's the thing is, you see in the 3rd step, I got fired from upper management. I manage my life into an unmanageable position. And then what do I want to do in step 6 and step 7? I want to manage my defects. You see, I want to deflate my ego, which is an ego-inflating proposition. That's what I want to do. But you see, I don't have that power. Now here's my experience with step 7. Is that, and this might be not super controversial because I still want y'all to like me, and I bribe you with stickers. But God, in my experience, God does not want, nor does God need my help. What God wants is my consent. Wow. And what God needs is me. All of me. That's what I'm giving over. God does not need, God does not want my help. God wants my consent, and God wants me. And that's what the 7th step for this silly little drunk is all about. I'm giving more and more of myself to the unconditional love that is God. And actually, every time I talk, because I do a lot of talking, I work with a lot of sponsees, I always have to, throw in a breath mint or a throat lozenge. Got holes. And I got this, or actually I could use the donut. That's a bit of visual. Don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it. So I got part of a donut left, right? And let's say we wanted me to get rid of the donut. I could throw it as far as I could throw it. And it's not going anywhere. I could use all my willpower and all my might to squish it into a tiny little ball, but it's still there. I could rip it off piece by piece by piece, but it's still there. You know what I'm saying? I can't self-will it away. But here's what I do. Now I'm going to do the Halls wrapper, not the donut, for this visual demonstration because I don't want to make a mess on your lace desk. But it's Halls wrapper. And this is what 6 and 7 is all about. See, I'm not squishing it. I'm not overpowering it. I'm not winning. What I'm simply doing is reaching for the hand of God. And as I reach for the hand of God, it falls away. And that's what step 6 and 7 is all about. I had a sponsee say, Paige, how do you demonstrate willingness? Willingness is indispensable. How do I do that? For me, it goes back to Bill's story when he says, I must turn in all things to the capital F, capital L, Father of light, who presides over us all. That is what 6 and 7 is all about for me. Now, in respect of time, I'm gonna tell a bit of a story. Another metaphor. It's not gonna tie in real well to the house one, but I got it. Another metaphor for 8 and 9. So where I'm from in Calgary, it's the traditional lands of the Blackfoot people, and we're in grasslands. We're in prairie. And we got, not much anymore, but we had the buffalo. You guys know the buffalo? Not the Bills. Boo, Bills, sports. Ooh, I don't know. Hi, friends from New York Online. But we got the buffalo. And in the Blackfoot tradition, they have a legend of the buffalo. You see, when you look at the animals on the prairies, we have antelope. I didn't know we had antelope until a couple of years ago. No worries, love you. There was a comment on Zoom. Attention, it's focus. But we got antelope, we got cows, we got lots of cows. I love them. You know what happens is when a storm comes in, what the cows will do, and what the antelope will do, what the other animals will do is they see the storm coming, and they will try to outrun the storm. And as they do, they try to outrun it. You can't outrun it, and it just prolongs the length of the storm. You know what I'm saying? You see, if you've ever seen a buffalo, what they have is this thick fur on their face and on their shoulders, and then it kind of thins out near their rump. And the reason is because the buffalo are known for facing the storm. You see, what the buffalo do is when the storm comes in, they face the storm and they walk through the storm. And what that does is cuts the storm in half. You see, in Alcoholics Anonymous, in this book, we got promises. Not just the 9-step promises. We got promises all over this book, but let's talk about those 9-step ones. When do those 9-step promises come true? About halfway through. Before we're halfway through. See, I walked through that storm. See, I don't know about you. Maybe y'all were like, I love amends. I can't wait. That was not my experience. I wanted to gazelle the heck away from that. You know what I'm saying? I had nothing to do with it. But what did I need to do? I needed to be the buffalo and face the storm. But here's the difference. The difference between me and the buffalo is that I am also the storm. You see, the alcoholic is like a tornado roaring its way through the lives of others. Sweet relationships are dead. I killed them. Affections have been uprooted. I uprooted those affections. Selfish and inconsiderate habits, my inconsiderate habits have left the home in turmoil. You see, the thing with the tornado is the closer you are to the eye of the storm, the stronger the winds and the more damage there is. And you see, what I need to do first and foremost, ain't it grand the wind stop blowing? First and foremost, I got to stop. But if that's all I do, if I do not face the storm, if I do not go and make restitution, we're not in Kansas anymore. We're in Cleveland. You know what I mean? I've got to rebuild, and that is my responsibility. Now, to go back to the house metaphor for a minute. You see, the 4 through 9, the inventory all the way to the amends process is not a set it and forget it deal. Some of y'all know I don't talk about crockpot sobriety. Well, I do. I'm like, I can't have crockpot sobriety. You know what I mean? I can't set it and forget it. I can't take inventory 2 years ago and hope that still carries. This is me. I gotta have stir-fry sobriety. I gotta be in it, and I gotta be working at it every day. And I gotta continue to keep my house clean. Now, I got 3 reasons. 3 reasons I got to continue to keep my house clean. Now, the first reason I got to keep that house clean, first and foremost, I don't know if you saw, it was mad when it got here. You know what I mean? You could smell my spiritual house down the block. If I ever let my spiritual house get as messy as it did that day, I will drink again. Some of you guys know that, hey, you live in a house. There's mess. There's some stuff I got to clean up. If I were to drop the donut, we would hope I would clean it up right now. You know what I mean? And I have the 10th step for that. And then there's some stuff at the end of the day that I got to clean up. We have the evening review for that. You know, the dishes, or those that make the bed. That's not me, but those that make the bed. We got to make the bed. We got to do that every day. You know, I do that on a daily basis. And then once in a while, man, spring hits. We got to do that. We got to get the eaves troughs where life hits. A big storm hits, and you gotta clean up the branches or the leaves in the fall, whatever it is. I gotta continue. See, 4 through 9 is not just an exercise in getting me connected with God. That is what it is, but it becomes how I live my life. 4 through 9, I practice that in the 10th step. I practice that in the evening review. And so I got to continue to keep my house clean first and foremost, because I can't ever let it get as dirty as it did when I got here. Then I also got to keep my house clean, because as an alcoholic, my very life, page 20, my very life as an ex-prom drinker depends upon my constant thought of others and how I might help meet their needs. Step 12, working with others, it talks about nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking. Step 1, I will drink again. Step 12, immunity from drinking. That's what's on offer here in AA. Permanent, contented sobriety, based contingent upon the actions that I take on a daily basis. Permanent, contented sobriety. That's what I get to have. So I've got to continue to keep my house clean, because my life depends on showing you how to clean yours. My life depends on helping others work these 12 steps as a way of life. And it does no good if I tell you to clean your eaves troughs and I don't know how to do it. It does no good if I tell you how to change the air filters. I really don't know how to do that. And I don't know how to do that. It does no good if I don't have experience with the mop, experience with the broom. If I don't know how to clean my house, I can't show you how to clean your house. And that is my nobody else's responsibility. I am only talking about me. But that is my responsibility as somebody who has recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. My responsibility to you is to help you find this way out if you have not found it. That is my responsibility, no one else's. And I need to continue to do my work so I can help those who I've been called to help. Now the third reason I've got to keep my house clean. It turns out I got a roommate. At the depth of that house, at the very center of that house, there is a room. And that is one of the places in which God resides. You see, if I continue to keep that house clean, I get the opportunity to know that power better. Y'all ever have a roommate that made the house a mess and you just want to avoid them? You know what I mean? I get to know this power better. I get to build this relationship with a power I didn't like, that I didn't believe in, and I did not think could possibly help somebody like me. And here I am, sober and able to experience a life I did not earn, a life I did not deserve. You know, it talks about on page 25, the central fact of our lives today. The central fact, not an over there idea, but the central fact. I can't get to a central fact with thinking. I have to get to a central fact with action. The central fact of our lives today is the absolute certainty that our Creator, capital C. Now, keep in mind, anything that I created other than a mess of my life has been made with love and attention and care. That my Creator has entered into our hearts and lives in a way which is indeed miraculous. Now there's two ways to read that. That my Creator has entered into my heart and then lives as in flows out into my life, and that is my experience, but also that my Creator has entered into my heart and lives. As in lives within my heart, and either way, one of the places in which God can be found is within my heart, within that house. And it says He has commenced to do those things that we could not do for ourselves. The miraculous, the humanly impossible. Permanent, contented sobriety. Again, with an asterisk. Contingent on the spiritual actions that I take on a daily basis. And what I want you to know is, if you have not had this miracle yet, if you're new to Alcoholics Anonymous, if you're struggling in Alcoholics Anonymous, if you've been in and out and in and out and in and out, and you don't think AA could work for you, or you've been around this outfit for a while, you've been sober a while, you got those problems that are piling up. You know those problems, man, I got stuff. We don't think AA could possibly help it. What I want you to know is, in Alcoholics Anonymous, there is a solution. We have a solution. And it does not take long to get well. It does not take long to recover in Alcoholics Anonymous. And our very lives depend on helping you. So please, if you've not had this experience, let us help you. Our lives depend on it. Thank you for the opportunity to share. Oh, right, Lord's Prayer. Sorry. I was given instruction and immediately forgot. Sound familiar?
You can stay where you're at. You're going to be sitting back down.
I'm prepared.
Everybody's on Paige here online. I've asked you to unmute.
Yeah, turn that off.
Paige.
Okay, hold on. Thank you. Our Father.
Thank you.
We love you, Paige. Love you. We're saying the prayer now.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever.
All right.
Okay, here, why don't I? Yeah, you got it? Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Meeting's not over yet.
I have to tell you, your enthusiasm, passion.